Hi, I'm Laura Rolfe, host of Powered by Franchising and CEO of Mint Franchise Consultants. Thanks for tuning in today. I'm excited to chat with you about some of my favorite business books and what separates thriving business owners from those who struggle. It's not just about the capital or the location, it's about the commitment to continuous learning. For me, when I first started my business 5 years ago, I had this issue of wanting to conquer it all. I wanted to do everything from implementing my lead sources to creating great content, hire team members, all sorts of different things. And so my focus was kind of all over the board. Some of the things that helped me were creating focus and changing my habits a little bit at a time. I did employ an outside consultant to help me create focus in my business. That's more for another show. But today we're going to talk about some of the books that I also referenced to create a little more focus in my business, create traction. We're going to talk about the book Traction on today's podcast. And also how just making the smallest of changes can impact things for a bigger purpose. So today I'm excited to talk about 5 game-changing books that every franchise owner should read. Why reading matter, just 5 to 15 minutes a day can change your trajectory as a business owner and create an advantage for you. Some of them will include scalability mindset about franchising. In franchising, we are looking at systems that are you would follow as a business owner to become more profitable and scale your business. But beyond the systems, you as the business owner are creating the culture. You're looking at the focus for your particular business location. And some of those, we need to hone in our skills and improve just a little bit every single day. So the books I'm going to share with you today, I think teach transferable principles and a competitive edge that will help you set yourself apart from other franchisees in your particular franchise system. I do believe that learning from others, from their successes and their failures, can also help you protect your investment of your business and help you be a better manager of your time. You as the franchisee are the CEO of your particular business location, and continuous learning builds better leaders, and the cost of not continuing to learn and hone your skills can be a big mistake. So I think it can be very expensive if you're not continuing to invest in your education. And books are a pretty simple way to hone those skills. I love being part of a book club and am currently part of one. I'll let you know which of these books that I'm going to preview today, that I'm in a book club that we're reviewing it on a monthly basis. So I'm continuing to get the perspective of others who are also reading the same things that I'm reading. So it compounds my success as a business owner, and I want to share some of that with you. So the first book that I want to share with you today is by James Clear. It is called Atomic Habits, and I think it's essential for franchisees because changing your habits and executing proven systems, just making the smallest change can make the biggest change in your business. So one of the key takeaways that I had after reading the Atomic Habits book was that if I just get 1% better every single day, that's 37% better in a year. So each of those habits compound on a daily basis. One of the habits that I adopted was, when I picked up the Atomic Habits book, was my focus on reading and finding other savvy business owners who have taken their skills and become better. And So just reading 10 to 15 minutes, slotting that at the end of my day has improved my skills as a leader, as a franchise business coach, and a consultant. So some of the other key takeaways out of the book and applications for franchisees are how do you train your staff? Training your team to have good positive habits can make them better employees. So that's another key takeaway from the book. Habits as simple as coming to work on time or being a better team player on the team. Habits of upselling on every job if you're sending your employees out there in the field and working with clients and customers. A small habit of just talking about the needs or wants of a particular customer can increase the profitability overall for your business. So an example is in a plumbing business. Somebody has a leak in their faucet in the kitchen, and the plumber goes out and fixes the leak. Well, a habit that they can acquire pretty easily is noticing if there is a soft water system, or perhaps the homeowner, you might recommend a new garbage disposal under that kitchen sink. And the homeowner has the option of saying yes or no to that new upsell. But that habit that plumber gets into of making sure that they offer another solution for that homeowner while they're there and have the ability to implement and solve that homeowner's problem on a bigger level can definitely impact your business and profitability. Also, habits of customer experience and consistency can be really greatly improve the way that your team is perceived out in the field. Let's take that same plumbing example. If the plumber is presenting themselves by wearing booties when they enter the homeowner's house and being polite and respectful to the homeowner when they arriving on time when they say they are to a job, that is going to definitely improve your customer service scores. Perhaps asking for a Google review after every single job is going to get you more Google reviews consistently on the outreach of your future customers. So asking for a Google review, that simple habit can also change the trajectory of your business. So one of the best quotes that I have from this book is, you don't rise to the level of your goals if you fall to the level of your systems. So go ahead and pick up that book again, Atomic Habits by James Clear, if you haven't read it yet already. The next book that I wanted to chat about today is called Traction. So Traction is by Gino Wickman. It is the EOS connection to franchising. A couple of our larger franchise systems that we work with at Mint Franchise Consultants have adopted the Traction principles, and I've used Traction in my nonprofit career. This is one of the opportunities that helped me as a business owner create systems and back to those habits that I learned in Atomic Habits. Traction and looking at big goals or rocks on a quarterly basis has helped me create focus in my business. Because again, back to the beginning of this show, I talked about how I wanted to do it all and be everything to everybody. And I can't do that all the time. So following the Traction principles, if I focus on 3 big things that I want to accomplish on a quarterly basis, I am much more likely to achieve my goals and complete those rocks as set forth in Traction to create a change in my business on a quarterly basis. So every year I sit down and I create a business plan for the entire year, and then I break out my rocks by quarter. and have different systems that I plan to implement to have an impact on my business. I can also share my rocks, my business plan for each quarter with my employees. I have a virtual assistant, and many of you know that I recently brought my daughter into the franchise consulting business, and I can share those quarterly rocks with them, and we can come up with different opportunities for them to have part of that shared vision to accomplish those rocks. As a franchisor, Horsepower Brands, as an example, uses Traction to bring together all of their franchisees for a weekly level 10 meeting or an L10 meeting. So the franchisees all have that shared vision on an annual, a quarterly, and a weekly basis, so they can execute on the frameworks to be more profitable, to have higher employee retention rates, to get more of those referrals from their clients. So love the Traction, getting a grip on your business to help you focus on the big things so none of the little things fall through the cracks. Some of the key takeaways from the Traction are getting what you want from your business. It requires structure. And so Horsepower Brands knows that structure is really important to maintaining focus and key performance indicators, driving consistent growth across the franchise network system, and creating aligned vision between the franchisor and franchisee. It also creates accountability within your franchise unit operations, so your team knows what they're accountable for and what their measurable metrics are going to be for employee evaluations, for ongoing need for training and support for the field of your particular business. It also helps with the profits and processes across the organization, and it makes sure that you have the right people in the right seats doing the right things at the right time. So pick up Traction if you are interested in how to level set your focus, create dynamic teams that are all moving in the right direction. Now, the next book that I'm going to chat about has been around for a long time. I probably should have looked up when it was first published, but this is one that I reference quite often for those people interested in dirty businesses, home service businesses, and that's The Millionaire Next Door. It's wealth building mindsets for franchise owners. You may or may not know that most of the wealthiest business people are living right next door to you. My next door neighbor owned a very profitable plumbing business in Phoenix and in Las Vegas for more than 20 years. She and her husband's a plumber, and she is the operations and brains behind the plumbing business, and they have scaled their business to be a big business. And it's a dirty business, but it didn't come without grit and sacrifice and rolling up their sleeves and a lot of hard work. But they built their empire, sold the Phoenix branch, and now they are no longer my next door neighbor. They sold their home next to me and moved to Vegas to a 5,000 square foot home near the Strip in Las Vegas because they knew how to put in the work behind the business and build a big business. So they knew where to invest correctly and create that wealth for their family and a legacy for their two kids that I've watched grow up. So in the real world, a lot of home service brands frequently reference The Millionaire Next Door, emphasizing how those dirty businesses in the service industry, HVAC, plumbing, restoration, can consistently build millionaires and solve essential problems that people always pay for. I live in Phoenix, Arizona. It is super hot. It is summertime when I'm recording this podcast. And if my air conditioner isn't working, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find somebody to fix my air conditioner, because I can't sleep or live in my house unless I have my air conditioning unit running on all cylinders. So some of the applications for franchisees are, if you do have a dirty business and you start becoming profitable, scaling that franchise system, the best takeaway is to reinvest your profits in the growth and scalability of your business. So let's say you have a home service business with one van, then you're going to reinvest your profits and add a second van, which is going to double your profitability. Let's say one van on average can bring in $350,000. Well, adding a second van, now your profitability, you're looking at $700,000 for the second van, and then you keep building and adding and growing accordingly. Another way to grow your business, once you've hit your number of van capacities with a dirty business like plumbing, is to expand your territory, expand into other markets. I have shared on the show about Mr. Sparky. I have a client who's invested in a couple of territories with Mr. Sparky. And one of the reasons why he chose Mr. Sparky was the scalability across multiple markets across the country. There's a franchisee that is based in, I think his first location was in Bentonville, Arkansas, with Mr. Sparky. He grew that location, that territory, and has continued to expand. He now owns 9 different markets, including the Phoenix market, which is where I got to know Aaron, that franchise owner. And so Bernie, my newest franchise placement with Mr. Sparky, saw that opportunity to build and grow an electric business in multiple markets as well. There's also a Mr. Sparky out of Florida who last year sold his location, his multiple territories, for more than $60 million. Now that is definitely the millionaire next door. So understanding what your customer base is and your service base for your franchise is definitely important, but also profitability. And it might be surprising to some of you listeners that 80% of millionaires are first generation wealthy, meaning they didn't inherit the wealth, they built it themselves. They built it through grit, hard work, and determination. So if you're interested in grit, hard work, and determination yourself, connect with me at mintfranchiseconsultants.com and book an appointment. We can chat about some of those business opportunities that can make you that millionaire next door. The next book, and the book brand that I want to talk to, this is the one that I haven't finished reading yet, so but I'm still going to preview it. It's called Uptime from Laura Mae Martin. I'm reading this with one of my networking groups. And while I haven't finished this one yet, I thought that it was important to include this in the book previews today, because it is a practical guide to personal productivity and well-being. The book starts off with Laura talking about her experience working for Google. She is Google's productivity expert, and a lot of her coworkers and colleagues couldn't believe that she could get so much work done in the regular 8 to 5 business day. She never took work home with her. She always took a lunch. And yet she was running circles around her colleagues for all of the work that she was doing. She also talks in her book about how important it is to schedule everything and manage your time accordingly. And that includes your downtime. So how are you focusing your most productive times during the workday? 10 to 2 may be the most productive work time for you. Those are things that you should be, that's the time that you should set aside to focus on the most important and most productivity driven tasks, things like customer or client facing activities. The reason being is you're refreshed, you're not distracted by other things that might take place earlier in the day, or you might not be as tired as you would be after that 3 o'clock kind of pause in my day, where after 3 o'clock, I get a little groggy and I might not be as productive. So if you're responding to emails or things like that, maybe do those tasks in those off-peak hours, early morning, end of the day type of activities, and then focus your more productive, task-oriented, more meaningful, meaty things in the middle of your day. Laura also talks about how she'll schedule her weekend. She'll schedule her time with her family, and she'll schedule her time without her family. So if she needs a spa day or she wants a Netflix binge afternoon on a Saturday, she'll communicate with her husband and her kids that she needs some time just to do a reset on herself. And her husband understands that. So he'll take the kids and they'll be away from the house for a little bit while Laura, at her recommendation, will take some focus time for her to decompress from the busy work week at Google. She's held many different positions at Google and now consults across all channels at Google on expertly maintaining that focus and productivity, and is the right-hand focus for all of the C-suite executives at Google, as well as all of the VPs and business managers. So a new book, take a read, pick it up, and then I'd love for you to comment and let me know what you think about Laura Mae Martin's Uptime. The final book that I wanted to chat about today, I love John C. Maxwell. John C. Maxwell has written numerous books, but this is one that I picked up earlier this year called the Maxwell Daily Reader. I start my day with this. So the Maxwell Daily Reader is one where it's just a one page. I can read something that's typically going to help me with my ambition, my productivity, my focus, my leadership capabilities in my business. So I love that it has some key takeaways that you, the reader, can do in just a quick, short little time. So it wouldn't even take you 5 minutes to read a page of John C. Maxwell's Daily Reader to get some insights or some motivation for your business. And in franchising, that's what we do every day is we lead. We lead our team members, our customers, our clients. We lead other franchisees oftentimes. So I love this daily reader to influence my thinking and my thoughts. And a real world example of John C. Maxwell that I'd love to share with you today is how Resi Brands has taken the John C. Maxwell principles to the next level. They actually hired John C. Maxwell to be the mentor to all of their franchisees across all of their franchise brands. So John C. Maxwell will host a meeting on a monthly basis and talk about one of his 7 principles, share insights to all of the franchise owners who are then able to ask questions and get real world experience and examples from the leader himself, John. So, I have a client right now who's looking at one of the Resi Brands, and one of the things that inspired him to look at Resi Brands beyond the brand and all that Resi Brands does for their franchisees across That One Painter, Pink's Window Washing, Garage Up, Action Exteriors, and now Monty's Handyman is the level of experience that they bring to Resi Brands. not only is John C. Maxwell a mentor for Resi Brands, but Cody Sanchez, who, if you've done any looking at business ownership, you've probably run across Cody Sanchez. She is an investor in Resi Brands, which also is very impressive. So love for you to take a look at at some of these books and figure out how they're going to apply to helping you motivate your team members, be a better leader, be a better networker across different businesses in your community, and create those daily habits that will help you manage through times of crisis, times of celebration, and everything in between. Being a leader is one who knows the way, who goes the way and shows the way. So as a leader of your business, or if you're exploring leadership and you're not yet the leader in owning a business, these books all have applicable lessons that you can learn and continue to hone your skills and grow. So I appreciate you letting me share some of these fun business opportunities. And again, the compound effect, if you're spending just 15 minutes a day on reading some new information or literature, a good book, then that's 90 hours a year where you're getting the competitive advantage over your other competitors in the market. I suggest creating a learning library for your staff. Maybe you start with some of these books, or you have some that you have read before, and love for you to pop your recommendations in the comments. You can also, other tips for getting that 15 minutes or more of learning in a day. If you have a commute to or from the office, listen to an audiobook. Maximize the dead time during your commute back and forth to the office or in between clients. I also love physical books for taking notes. I like to write in the margins and jot a couple of notes down of my key takeaways, and so I can resonate and think about them when I'm revisiting my rocks in traction on a quarterly basis. I might revisit some of the learned ideas that I've taken away from some of these terrific authors. And again, book clubs with other franchisees, holding each other accountable to that constant learning is another growth opportunity. So your franchise success isn't just about following the systems. It is partly about following the systems, but it's also about growing as a leader. So my challenge to you is to pick one book from today's list and commit to finishing it in the next 30 days. And a personal recommendation is, if I had to pick my next read, what that might be. Somebody had suggested the E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. So I'm going to be picking that one up soon. It's the ultimate franchise mindset book, is what I've been told, about working on my business, not just in it. And then I'm also, From Good to Great by Jim Collins is another book that's been recently recommended to me, separating what good franchise operations looks like to truly great ones. So DM me your biggest takeaway from any of these books. You can find my office line number that does take texts on my website at mintfranchiseconsultants.com. And I'd love to hear how you and your fellow franchise owners are applying these concepts in your business. Anyway, I appreciate you taking a listen today to some of my top business book recommendations, and consider changing your habits one day at a time by reading 15 minutes a day and continuing to hone your skills. Thanks again for listening to Powered by Franchising.